Could we actually see Power Four schools at odds going one-on-one versus their own conference? And could they even get kicked out? I know that sounds crazy, but when you hear what I have to say and we talk about what's going on in the world of college sports, it may not be as far-fetched as you think. And is it possible that West Virginia could actually be one of those schools to take on their own league? Let's have that conversation. I'll explain everything, give my opinion on it, and we'll do that right after this word from one of our sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident, are fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this edition of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers in the Big 12. Ross Dellinger put out an article last night that shook everything to the core when it comes to the House Settlement Agreement. To lay the groundwork, for those of you who may not know, for those of you who might be new and following this news or this channel, the House Settlement Agreement is basically where the NCAA and Power Four schools got sued. They were forced to owe back pay to some past student athletes, and they have to pay future student athletes up to $20.5 million per year in total to share the revenue with those athletes. And that amount could go up a little bit every year. And there's a federal judge that's going to be ruling on a settlement agreement that will codify this and make it go into to law, to rule, whatever you want to call it, to make it official. That ruling could come down any day now. And it's supposed to help put some guardrails around NIL, some rules around NIL. They've come up with a clearinghouse that's going to approve larger NIL deals. It's called NIL Go. It's going to be operated by a company called Deloitte. It's supposed to help keep everybody on somewhat of a level playing field when it comes to NIL. Players will still be allowed to get NIL deals above and beyond the revenue sharing, but it has to go through the Deloitte clearinghouse if it's above a certain amount. That's the rule, or supposed to be the rule if it passes. However, there are states out there, I should say, who are passing state laws that are saying, hey, we don't have to go by these rules, and you're not allowed to enforce them. The state of Tennessee, for example, the most recent and most well-known one to do it, because their law specifically says if you try to enforce this cap, this $20.5 million cap, we will sue you. It's against our state law. So it's basically opening the door for Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Memphis, and other schools to pay their student athletes more than the $20.5 million. And they also don't have to fall under the rules of the clearinghouse when it comes to other NIL deals and whatnot, and booster pay and those things. That's the 30,000-foot view here of what we're dealing with. Well, to combat that, to try to keep these states and these schools within these states from doing their own thing and getting outside of the House settlement, which, by the way, they all signed off on, but now they all of a sudden don't want to do it. Makes no sense. But anyway, to try to keep them from going outside of that, they're trying to come up with this agreement, this signed agreement, that they all have to abide by these rules, and if they don't, they will not be able to play other Power Four schools. That's what the Power Four commissioners, or I shouldn't say commissioners, it's what the leaders of some of these Power Four leagues are trying to pass. That every school must sign this agreement, and any school who doesn't sign it will not be able to play any other Power Four school and could even potentially be removed from their conference. Holy crap. Could the SEC actually kick out Tennessee? I'm not wearing orange. I promise I'm not wearing orange on purpose. I was going to wear this today anyway before I knew I was doing this video. But anyway, I know I just realized that. But anyway, back to the story, back to the video. Could the SEC actually try to kick Tennessee out? Man, really? But it's baffling to see this happening. Could they try to kick Vanderbilt out? Could we see Tennessee? Maybe things aren't kumbaya in the SEC like we've always thought. Maybe there's some bickering going back and forth. They always talk about how that don't happen in their conference. Well, I think it might happen now. And as far as West Virginia, could it impact West Virginia too? The West Virginia University football program and sports programs. It just may, because West Virginia themselves has also passed a recent NIL bill. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But at first, I want to do another shout out from a channel sponsor. Hey, do me a favor. Go check out my good friends over at Appalachia Digital. If you need a brand new website for your small business, or if you're just looking to get found easier on Google, go check out appalachiadigital.com/Couz. These are the fine folks who designed my brand new website over at wvsportschat.com. They did a fantastic job. I love their work. I think you will too. So go check them out. appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know Couz sent you. Now let's get back to the show. All right. So how will this impact West Virginia? Well, West Virginia passed their own NIL legislation recently. I'm going to talk about that with you. And we'll do that as we do a screen share here. I'll share an excerpt from an article over at athleticbusiness.com. I will share a link to that article with you as well. But this talks about the West Virginia NIL bill. And in here, there's a quote that kind of makes me think that this will be in direct conflict with this agreement that the Power 4 leagues are trying to get these schools to sign. But it says, the House versus NCAA settlement may have been postponed, but West Virginia lawmakers are not backing down. Leaders in the state's House of Representatives introduced two bills that would redefine NIL and revenue sharing in West Virginia. According to Sports Illustrated, House Bill 2576 and 2595, the NIL Protection Act, would allow schools to manage student-athlete NIL deals and revenue sharing payments through nonprofits. Now, that part, I don't think that really affects it. That's basically like saying, hey, we're going to take our rev sharing arm, our NIL arm, we're bringing that in-house, we're turning it into a nonprofit entity. It's no different than what academic departments do when they set up research arms to do their research, where they get state and local funding and whatnot, right? Or state funding and federal funding and other things. This is the same thing. But if it'll fall under a nonprofit, and this next part's the kicker. This next part is where I think there could be a conflict between West Virginia, or the state of West Virginia, which includes WVU and Marshall, the two Division I programs in the state, and how that could be in direct conflict with what the House settlement bill and this agreement that they're putting forth are trying to accomplish. It says, these bills would also make revenue sharing, quote, exempt from disclosure laws and public oversight, end quote. Exempt from disclosure laws and public oversight. What's that mean? That the College Sports Commission or Deloitte or whoever is trying to enforce the oversight on NIL, revenue sharing, and all that would not have access to the information from WVU or Marshall because it would violate West Virginia state law. Now, this is going to be interesting here. This seems to me like a conflict. Now, a video I did on this a few weeks ago, I read from another article that didn't go into this part of it here. They just kind of scratched the surface on what these bills do. We did not get this quote about disclosure laws, and we did not get this next part. It says, all of this comes in direct defiance of the current NCAA settlement, which includes revenue sharing caps and the ability for third parties to vet NIL deals and payments. So is this opening the door for West Virginia to try to do their own thing? Well, if that's the case, if that's what they're wanting to do, then they're not going to want to sign this agreement that the Power 4 conferences are trying to get everybody to sign. And if they don't, will they actually be able to get away with forcing these schools to sign this? It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Will it fall under antitrust law? Trying to force these schools to do this? Could the agreement override state law? And will this put West Virginia University in direct conflict with the Big 12 Conference? Could we actually see that happen? Intriguing. And if West Virginia refuses to sign this agreement, could they actually get kicked out of the Big 12? And will other Power 4 schools refuse to play them? Could the same thing happen to Tennessee and Vanderbilt? This is a twist and a development I never saw coming. Now, on the surface, this agreement actually sounds like it's a good idea because it brings some parity, some guardrails around everything. Everybody's on the same playing field. But it also sort of reeks of breaking antitrust law by preventing these schools from doing what they want to do. And can you really supersede a state law? I'm trying my best to get an attorney on the show to explain some of this to me, help me understand it better. I'm trying to get someone from West Virginia University to come on. I've even reached out to politicians in the state of West Virginia, help them explain this bill to me. I'm having no luck at all so far. I'm still trying, but so far I've not been able to land anybody that can help me explain this any better. Because when it comes to these types of things, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So I need help. But if I interpret this right, West Virginia state laws would be in conflict with this agreement the Power 4 schools are trying to get people to sign. And again, I'm leaving a link to Ross Dellner's article. Go read about this agreement in that article. But I'm just going to give you a couple quotes from it real quick. Here's what a couple leaders, here's what a Power 4 AD had to say. You have to sign it or we don't play you. Here's what a Power Conference president said. As a condition of membership, you must comply with the settlement and enforcement. So your state laws won't apply, is what they're trying to say. Your state laws are not going to supersede this. And here's what we need, folks. We need federal legislation to oversee all this so everybody's on the same page. We've got to have that or we will never, ever get away from the lawsuits, the disagreements, the chaos, and the mess. Got to have federal legislation. Ted Cruz, Cory Booker, all of you out there who are working on these NIL bills, both sides of the aisle, do something, please. Give us our college sports back. Give us some normalcy. I personally would rather talk about what's going on the field than this kind of stuff. But because of the chaos, here we are. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you are a fan of a team that's not Tennessee or Vanderbilt or West Virginia, if you're a team in fan of a team in a different state that has an NIL bill that I'm not aware of, let me know in the comments because there are other states with NIL bills. I don't know them all. So are they in conflict with this new agreement? If you're a fan of Tennessee, I want to hear your thoughts. If you're a West Virginia fan, do you think this NIL bill in West Virginia will be in conflict with this agreement? There are other articles out there about that bill that don't necessarily go that far with it. They just say, hey, if the House settlement doesn't go through, then West Virginia's prepared. That's not what this article here said. And they got a quote from somebody, somewhere. Not sure who. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I want to give a quick shout out to my channel VIP members of this episode, Shannon Miller, Tanner Tracks Premier, CEO of The Sofa, Bourbon Crazy, and Big E 7375. Thank you all for being paid VIP members. You can become a paid VIP member by hitting the join button below or hitting the join button on my channel homepage. You get access to random shout outs. If you're a club level member, you also get early access to some content. You also get first dibs in all live streams and comments. When I don't do live streams a ton like some of the other creators out there, but when I do, if you're a channel member, you have a badge beside your name, I'll do my best to read your comment before everybody else's. Also want to give another shout out to my sponsors, Katz, Counter, Stone Street, and Buckner Attorneys at Law, and Appalachia Digital. Thank them for supporting the show, for helping me keep the lights on. You can do that by hitting the thumbs up button, liking the video, sharing it with your family and friends, subscribing to the channel, and turning on that notification bell so you'll be notified of future videos. And please go check out my website, wvsportschat.com. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget the video in the corner of your screen where I talk about the West Virginia NIL bill. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf and Q Country Roads.